Shalom and welcome back. I'm Rabbi Rob Tobin from B'nai Shalom in West Orange, New Jersey, with another summary of some of the Parsha gems from Rabbi Levi ben Gershon, the Ralbag, who lived in Provence, southern France, in the 14th century. He writes a commentary on the Torah, which includes theological, moral, and practical outcomes of each of the many Torah lessons that we have in the cycle of readings. This week's Parsha is Vayetzei, and he has 36 such lessons. We will touch on just a handful of them in our time together. One of them, the first one, he says that when talking to somebody, you should always try and speak in a soothing and a purposeful manner, not to wander around or to be abrupt or to speak in riddles. You should also try and use familiar language and treat people as they are affectionate encounters, not just strangers. See, for example, when he goes into the fields and sees the shepherds, and he asks them if they know Lavan, his family, and where Lavan is, he greets them as brothers, using that term. Another lesson of the Ralbag is that people should be directed always towards the path of good and goodness whenever possible. You should try to grow love between people. It moves the whole system towards tikkun, repair, perfection, some philosophical perfection in the world around you. It creates peace. You not only found out from the encounter with the shepherds where Lavan lived, but he went on and encouraged them to complete their work in the watering of their flocks and to fulfill their responsibilities before running off or helping him. Which brings to another lesson, his fourth lesson, our third, that one should always help one's relatives as much as possible. When there is a need, you should try and help. He helped them by moving the stone from the well, watering the flocks for them. We learn from this lesson, by the way, that he was not only great in kindness, but he was also great in strength. Another lesson that he learns, this time from Lavan, is that visiting relatives should always be invited to stay with you in the home. I know that's a difficult one sometimes, but it is the right thing to do. Number 7, pay back good for good. This is his 7th, our 4th. If someone invites you to live with them, you should do your fair share and more around the house. I know they're going to treat you as a guest, but you should still function as if you are paying for the services you're receiving. In our age, when so many children come home from college and they're staying back in their rooms or on the couch or downstairs at age 21, 22, 23, and so forth, we need to encourage them to take those responsibilities. Maybe if you are such a person, you could take those responsibilities without being encouraged. The 8th in his list is that if you are to do work, even if it's menial or simple for you, you should do it to the best of your ability and with all of your power and all of your talents. See how Jacob cared for Lavan's flocks, even though Jacob was not just a shepherd. If someone works for you and they're embarrassed to ask for their pay, you have an obligation, Ralbag says, to pay them proactively. It's interesting, this isn't just labor relations and your responsibility. This is about the personal dignity of that person. If that person is embarrassed to ask for their pay, that means you didn't pay them in a time to avoid that embarrassment. You are not allowed to allow someone to be embarrassed if you can avoid it. Shaming a person is forbidden in Judaism. So you have to pay them well in advance of any moment where they would start to feel that embarrassment or that shame. If they are embarrassed, it's your fault, and you owe them tshuva. He says that you should be happy with your portion. This is his 11th. See, for example, how Jacob favored Rachel. Rachel and Leah, of course, being his wives in the Parsha. And Leah might have resented that. Leah may have thought that she was less than Rachel, but she never really did. As a matter of fact, her pride becomes another issue. But you never know how God is treating you with kindness. Just because the people around you may not be giving you the reward that you think you deserve, or the things you see you're getting from them may not seem equal or proportionate to what other people receive in their life, doesn't mean you're not receiving rewards in far greater number in things that truly matter or that will last over the space of time. God is still involved. Be samech b'chelko. Be happy with your portion. You don't know what blessings you may already have received. 2 more we'll cover towards the end of his list, the 27th. Associate yourself with people of character and perfections, not with scoundrels and scallywags. See how Jacob left Lavan's house eventually when he could, even though it was his family. It's important that you live with and associate with people of character. You may have friends or associates of long term But if they're not the people who are building up your own moral character, you should call into question whether or not you're exposing yourself to people who are going to help you to be the person you are supposed to be or not. And finally, when you want your family to do something, Levi ben Gershon says that you shouldn't just tell them to do it or force them to do it. We should not be coercive in our homes. For example, when Jacob wanted to leave, he did not tell Rachel and Leah, "Get up, pack, let's go." He instead told them the story of the dream that he had and how God had told him through a messenger that it was time to leave and he should go back to the land of his birth. This allowed Rachel and Leah to consider it, and in fact the Torah says the two of them, who had so much rivalry between them, answered together in a thoughtful and considered manner, coming to the same conclusion for what he wanted. Family unity wound up making the decision whole. These are a few of the gems of Rabbi Levi ben Gershon, and they encourage us to take them into our accounting. Rabbi Levi ben Gershon tells us in this parsha that the large number of midot, the large number of tualiot, the large number of lessons that we have been taught in this parsha are meant to teach us of the great character that Jacob was and of the great characteristics that he helped to impart to the 12 tribes of Israel who were his sons, his daughter Dinah, and the descendants who would come after them. The truth of the matter is, there would be no tribes of character if it weren't for his character, and we exist only because of these ideas. So we owe it to him, to God, to Torah, to ourselves, and our own descendants to aspire to these the best that we may. Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you, with God's help, next